like, oh yes, that seems like a really good car. So confirmation bias is really a way for us to reaffirm our view of the world. And to some degree, it's actually essential. If we didn't have some kind of confirmation bias, we would be lost. We could not piece together a world that is coherent for us. So we have to ignore certain things, and other things become a little louder. And confirmation bias is different in different cultures. For some cultures, a big, broad-shouldered person is very attractive, and in others, it's a very elegant person or a very lively person. And and I come from Germany, so in Germany, the confirmation bias is towards don't make a mistake. Get everything proper in order and get it right. So confirmation bias is really essential, and yet it's really valuable to recognize that what we perceive and how we view it is completely twisted by our internal biases. I believe the value in becoming aware of biases is that it gives you the opportunity of having a little larger perspective. The danger of not being aware of it, that we think we are right. So the value in understanding confirmation biases is that when we're in some kind of discussion or when we go into a different culture, that we recognize, the world looks different for other people. And it's not that mine is right or better or theirs is right or better. And I cannot really force them to see it my way, and they cannot force me to see it their way. So recognizing that confirmation bias is completely ingrained allows us to chuckle sometimes, when we kind of insist on a particular way of seeing the world, whether it's politically or whether it's social. It's very important. It allows us to actually listen to other people better and drop the confirmation bias maybe for a moment. There's not any particular bias that I would recognize as more important than the other, but I do find the uniqueness bias especially amusing, that we consider ourselves to be unique. And the reason I believe that we have a uniqueness bias is that we're the only person that we're with 24 hours a day. So we have far more information about ourselves, about our bodies, about our history, about our capacities. So it takes up much, much more space in our inner universe, so to say. And because we have so much more detail about ourselves and our own lives, it looms much larger than anybody else. So the interesting thing about uniqueness bias is that it's not just about ourselves, but there are circles of uniqueness. For instance, we consider our person that we have a relationship with as more unique than other people because we know more about them. We consider our parents often more unique or our siblings, again, because we know so much more about them. And if you get to know somebody, then they become more unique than other people. My friends are really more unique than other people's friends, or they're more special, or I'm closer to them. And it really, I believe, depends all on how much information we have about them and how important they are in our lives.
Quite interesting, the uniqueness bias. That almost sounds like a logical fallacy to me, because I don't think people are too far below the ability to understand that they find themselves unique because they don't have a lot to compare themselves to except for those they know well. Are we really so dumb as to think that we only know 3% about person A that we know about person B, and therefore person A is not very unique? They must be like the others. Do we do that? I don't do that. I just assume I don't know the person until I know them. I think that's a safe assumption to make. But there are some behaviors that are more likely than others, even in strangers. That's also a safe assumption to make. So you get into a gray area there. That's all right. I'm with that. What I'm not with is the way he was using the word bias early on, just to describe preference. And preference can come purely from genetic sources. So you don't have bias there. The bias is the weighing of one way over another consciously. And it can come from genetics. It can come from old thoughts. It can come from emotional mixes with all of these things. And we don't consider that, do we? When we talk about our bias, we just define the bias. Well, he leans left. He leans right. He's a Democrat. He's a Republican. He likes men more than women. He likes gays more than straights. He likes the Raiders more than the Redskins. This is where your biases are shown, but it doesn't show the source of the bias. So you got to look back through history, and you got to look at the genetics of a human to understand where their biases are coming from. And even after you've looked through all of that, given our current knowledge, you still might not be able to identify how those things you did identify created the bias. So we've got to admit that we don't know everything. That is such an important part of being an educated species, that we just don't know everything. We've got so much more to learn. And it's so important that you avoid the bullshit, because the human mind is a limited container. It is limited. And if we just kind of figure out a solid way to keep the bullshit out, we can focus on the good stuff, the likely stuff, and then let our imaginations run wild when we want to. But taking in stuff that someone's told you as some talk show host or something, just like me, without checking it or being sure that it sounds reasonable and logical, is costing yourself unnecessary work later if you want to be next to reality, because you're going to have to dig through that shit and start shoveling out the stuff that was bad. I'm telling you, don't even let it in. You know me. That's my whole thinking philosophy. What we're going to do here is I've got a little song for you by a band that is called Jazz Addicts, JAZZADDIXX. The song is called Ah. Essentially, it was written from a guy who was in a dentist's office. And, of course, the dentist would say, no, that's not true. I just made that up. And, well, this is what happens when I get late into my show. I get quite fuckery. Fuckery and fucktardia become my natural domain. And I know that's not good for you or me, but it does happen. And we need to admit the truth, even if it's painful. And on that note, I think I'm going to go ahead and play that for you, and then we're going to get the fuck up out of here, because I'm biased toward finishing this fucking show right about now, bitches.
Truth on Tap is now flowing from iHeartRadio. Get your Kierstead fix by Googling Truth on Tap with Kevin A. Kierstead. All the truth you can handle, running hot on iHeart, Facebook, Spreaker, and more. You want the truth? You can't handle the truth. On Tap.
This is Don Imus. You're listening to Truth on Tap with host Kevin Kierstead. You're going to like it, or I'll kick your ass.
Four scores and many more for your spirit to grow. See what you're hearing as our lyrics to go. For sure, award tours when you hear it, you know the truth dope. Never fear it, just grow. Yo. It's flavor like adobo. It's major when I quote flows. Call me the po-po. Just a go. I gave you the whole show, so don't slow the vocal to add them the vocals for later. Beta tested the best, it's the fertile crest and the freshness. Learn your lesson, the rest is the perfect weapon. Keep stepping in the direction of home base. We're blessed with our own case, a method, so we stuck by our own pace. Take a minute, look around, you see the world that you're missing in our position. Inspiration's the mission. Never impossible, let it repeat and then rock with the beat and then repeat it again. Are y'all ready to breathe again? Slow down, little youngin' with your grind on. Get your timing right, the limelight's no place to get your shine on. Don't drown the signs on you in the deep end. Breathe it in and it really begins. We got records that actually spin. No iPhone, compose this with a pad and a pen. On my phone, I'll be yapping with family and friends. In my zone, this is where your reality ends, and we're at it again. There's no tricks up the sleeve. Just have faith and believe in yourself for go wealth, for good health and sunshine. Look to the sky, get your supplies for the front line. Look at my eyes, I realize it's crunch time. So one time, 1, 2 times, 2, 2. Even you and the crew can do what we do. Never impossible. Let it repeat and then rock with the beat and then repeat it again. Are y'all ready to breathe again?